year is celebrating its 30th birthday. It's this Friday, so I thought, I'll just have a look at what else was happening in 1984. And sporting events from 1984, John McEnroe and Martina Navratilova were the winners of Wimbledon, which could have been several 80s years if I remember right. Do you remember the South African runner Zola Budd? She got a British passport in this year, and it was a very special year for an ice skating duo called Torvill and Dean, because it was a gold medal year for them, wasn't it, Chris and Jane?
Yeah, great. 30 years on, yeah.
You're going to do this theatre tour where you're going to go out and about and get amongst your audience, if you like. Did you ever imagine, when you were training back in the early 80s for the Olympics, that you'd still be talking and skating some 30 years on?
No, we would never had any expectation. I mean, winning the Olympics, that period of going up to the winning of the Olympics, all our time and effort went into that moment. Then suddenly after that, we hadn't planned anything because we couldn't. Our rules of the organisation wouldn't allow you to do that. But we wouldn't have expected the success and the longevity that we've had since that time. I mean, the Olympics absolutely launched us, our career, into the stratosphere and allowed us to do what we're doing today. So, no, we would never have guessed that we would have still been doing what we're doing.
When you were training in Nottingham, it was quite big around the Midlands, of course, with John Curry getting gold medals out of Birmingham. So was he one of your influences?
John Curry was definitely an inspiration for us and someone who we looked up to. And I think, indeed, he kind of changed the way of figure skating in that he had such a balletic style, but was still able to do the really difficult physical jumps, and he just made it more of a performance rather than a sort of a technical exercise. It was just beautiful to watch him.
It was a lot of training back in those days, wasn't it, in very early starts, going down to the ice rink to get some ice time?
Yeah, no, we were still true amateurs, and so we were still working 8 hours a day, me being a policeman and Jane working in an office, so we had to train at very odd hours. So sometimes it would be going to the rink at 11 at night and skating till 1 or 2 in the morning, or the other way round of going into the rink at 5 in the morning until about 7. So it was a lot of training at awkward hours and then still going off to work as well. So we found it a struggle, but you know, we wanted to skate so much. We loved skating, and we wanted to do the best that we could, and so we didn't let those distractions or obstacles get in the way.
As young skaters, how much input did you have in what your routines, your music and your costumes would be? Was that something selected by coaches or something that you played a big part in?
Well, initially, with our first coach, she started off sort of giving us ideas of music or even bringing in music, but then there was a point not long after we started working with her where she said, you need to go and choose some music that you both like and you both think is suitable to skate to. And we sort of said, oh yeah, okay. And the next time we came in, she said, did you bring some music? And we said no. And then the next day went by, next session she said, did you bring some music? And then we said no. And she said, well, just go out of the rink and don't come back until you found some music. So we kind of got the message there that it had to be something that was our decision and that we wanted to skate to. And from that, I think Chris in particular started to be more creative rather than wait for the coach to tell us what to do. Chris had ideas, and then we developed ideas together. So, you know, it wasn't too long before we were doing our own choreography, which we've continued to do ever since.
When you were competing at Olympics and World Championships, how much back then did you know about who your competitors were and how good or bad they were?
Well, our competitors really were the Eastern Bloc mostly, and we knew that they trained 8 hours a day. They may be in the Army or the Air Force or the Navy, but in actual fact they were ice skaters that they wore a uniform maybe once a month, and the rest of the time they were practicing. And so we knew that we had to practice as hard as they did to be able to win.
Christopher Dean and Jane Torvill, we'll chat more to them in a couple of ticks about their theatre tour, and of course more recently Dancing on Ice and how they got involved in that. We'd love your memories as well from 1984. I want you to cast your mind back. I had the Hits 1 album. It was a double album. It eventually became the Betamax to the Now album, didn't it? Because it didn't last the test of time. But on it was this. Saw you there.
just standing